informational purposes and so that we understand how this is working tonight, this is the annual meeting of the Inland Lakes District. Before we have the actual annual meeting, though, we have a public hearing, and that public hearing is to give people the opportunity to talk about the budget that is set for 2014, 2015. And then after the public hearing, then we will go into the Inland Lakes regular meeting. And then after that, then of course we'll go to our city council meeting. So at this time, I do call this Inland Lakes District public hearing to order. And in attendance, we have Peterson, Olson, Mayo, Lockwood, Hackett, Keeland, thank you. Sorry, I always forget one. Fensky, Perchatsky, Hagan, and Peterson, along with Mayor Smith and staff individuals. You're supposed to whisper that, Sandy.
Sorry.
And the purpose of this hearing is, Sandy?
Oh, okay. All right. The notice is hereby given that the public hearing and annual meeting of the City of Waupaca Public Inland Lakes Protection and Rehabilitation District will be held on the 19th day of August 2014 at 5:45 p.m. in the Council Chambers, City Hall, 111 South Main Street, Waupaca, Wisconsin. On the agenda, we have the public hearing and annual meeting for the budget for 2015, and we have the agenda. We have the revenues, the disbursements proposed for 2015. We also have the estimated for 2014 and the actual of 2013. To operate the district under the proposed budget for 2015, it will not be necessary to place a mill rate on taxable property within the City of Waupaca. Further expenditures may result in a tax in the future. This was published August 7th and August 14th, 2014, and signed by Henry Veliker, City Administrator Clerk.
Thanks, Sandy. Okay, at this time, then, we would take testimony in favor of the proposed budget for 2015. If there's anybody that would like to give testimony in favor, please step up to the podium and give your name and address. And it does give me a note to set the time limit, but Carol.
Oh, no limit tonight. All right. My name is Carol Elvery. I live at 33 Shadow Woods Lane. I'm the chairperson of the Friends of Mirror and Shadow Lakes, and we speak in favor of this budget and hope that you will approve it. This is also my only opportunity to give you kind of a rundown of what's happened on the lake and the status of both lakes. So I'm going to do that quickly, I hope. So starting in March, the Parks Department and the DNR, working together with the Street Department, put 3 trees near shore on Shadow Lake along the Lakeside Parkway. And the reason for that is that the DNR has, lake people have observed that there's very little coarse woody debris in the lakes, and that's a very helpful thing. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. At any rate, so they did that in early March. Later in March, we had an incident reported from fishermen on Mirror Lake that fish were too near the surface and having trouble getting air, so the aerator was turned on a little early. We normally run the aerator fall October through December through ice in, and then we do it again in the spring. So we started early, and we didn't have any more of that. We did have some small dead fish like over Memorial Day, and Al Niebuhr, the DNR fisheries expert, checked them out, felt that was a virus that was kind of just a happenstance thing, and really the only affected the young and would not spread to the lake and would clear itself, and that's what's happened. We've had no further problems there. Late May, we did discover one group of Eurasian water milfoil, which is like the really bad apple that we do not want. And I'm happy to say that between Aaron recruiting 2 volunteer Waupaca firemen who are dive certified. And then we had Aaron, a person from the Golden Sands RC&D group, and one of our regular people who paddles and monitors. They had that pulled out within 2 weeks, and those of us who are monitoring the lake haven't found any more. So we hope that'll continue. We'll keep checking that. As far as the other invasive species, that is a nuisance, more of a nuisance. It's unlikely to take our lake over because our lake has a flow through. It's not an impoundment lake. But it's still a big nuisance, and we have a huge infestation between the fishing pier and the beach every year. And it's a thought that the water coming from across Lakeside Parkway down that channel has a lot of nutrients and phosphorus, and that's why it's so bad there. At any rate, our C&D person gave the lifeguards training in recognizing the aquatic species, and then they basically spent about a week, 2 or 3 hours a day for about a week or two, and pulled as much as they could find. They really got it under control this year, so we hope that will be less of a problem. The other thing Parks has done this year very carefully, they've purposefully not mowed all the way down to the lake shoreline. They've purposely left about a 5-foot buffer, and even along that channel by the lower shelter. And all that is beneficial because it slows the water, it lets stuff, sediment, settle out, it catches some of the pollution and the nutrients. So that's been helpful. That buffer really could grow, but that's another matter. Our Steve Cuellar continues to send water samples to the UW Point lab in spring, Mirror Lake, spring and fall, Shadow Lake, just fall. And those results we look at, nobody's commented that they're bad. Basically, I look at them too, and there's been no major shifts in the chemical constituency, so that's holding. Cuellars continue to monitor the temp and dissolved oxygen and the clarity monthly, although our DO meter is going to need some help, and that John and I are taking care of. At any rate, we monitor that just to check for the well-being of both lakes. So far, they're holding their own. And then there's a group of us who paddle that check for the aquatic invasive species. Jean Wasserberg has a plate sampler out to notice if we have any zebra mussels. So far, no zebra mussels. And the Cuellars also monitor their dock for zebra mussels, and so far, no zebra mussels. So we hope that continues. We had our annual public meeting, and we had a good turnout, 22 people. The speaker talked about the value of that coarse woody debris. His PowerPoint is on the Friends of Mirror Lake webpage, which is under the Parks webpage, which is on the city's webpage. Anyway, that's there, and it's easily looked at. You'll understand a lot of what I'm saying real fast. But the basic point is a lake with no human involvement has 400 to 600 pieces of coarse woody debris along the shoreline per mile, per linear mile. Between Shadow and Mirror Lake, it's about 1.8 miles of shoreline, and we have nowhere near that amount of debris. The value of it is to the young of the year, basically food for the small fish and the invertebrates. For the young of the year to have a place to sort of safely hide from the big guys. It also makes feeding for the big guys a little easier, so they do better. And then the turtles, the birds. I do hear comments all the time about the turtles on those logs when it's not covered with water, what it is today after the rain. But anyway, so that's why all this is so important, and we'll hear more about it. One of the ongoing issues about that is whether if the homeowners on Mirror Lakes could be included in the permit that we have for the city to drop on Shadow Lake. And we have people, in the DNR are talking about that now. I checked my email after I got home today, and I don't have an answer yet about it. So anyway, hopefully we'll be able to do that because we have people on Mirror Lake that are ready to put some debris in the lake. The paper had a story this week about the DNR fisheries that are proposing some panfish regulations, which would include Shadow Lake, and you may have seen it. One of the problems on a lot of lakes in Wisconsin is that the panfish are really small, and so they don't grow big enough to be good for catching. And so they're basically randomly assigning 3 different types of regulations to over 100 lakes. They picked Shadow Lake. Shadow Lake, they would like to keep the 25 fish limit, but limit fish over 7 inches only 5. So you can only take 5 of them. And they're holding a public hearing next week to see people's reaction to that regulation being proposed. So for all that, we really, I'm happy to say, support this budget, and we've done most of this without much cost, if any cost, and that's how we like to work for you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Carol. Do we have any other testimony in favor of the budget for the Inland Lakes District? Any other testimony in favor of? Any testimony in opposition to the proposed budget? Carol, anything else you would like to add in rebut?
Thank you for your support.
If none, I do declare this public hearing closed at 5:58 p.m. Let's move right into the Inland Lakes Protection and Rehabilitation District meeting, and I do call this meeting to order. All 10 of the commissioners are in attendance, as we had at the public hearing. What we would need, there is no real agenda here, is there? Oh yeah, there is, okay. The agenda is, well, let's go with the minutes from last year. The minutes were included in your packet that you received. We would need approval of that agenda, or of those minutes, unless you have any corrections that need to be made there.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second.
I have a motion by Hackett, second by Keelan, that we approve of the minutes of the annual meeting from August 20th of 2013. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, so the next thing then is to talk about resolution number IL, Inland Lakes number 43, and that is, as I've said all along here, is the 2015 proposed budget. And John, you want to make some comments?
Sure. This, just a little history, this Inland Lakes District goes back 20 plus years. Some of you might know the exact date, but before Henry and myself, this Inland Lake District was established. It was a one-time tax, to my knowledge, on the citizens of the city of Waupaca, because the Inland Lake District encompasses the entire city boundary, city district. Since that time, there has not been a tax levied. I believe that this, again, I'm not positive, but I believe this may have been created initially by the Cary Mill Pond, and considering improvements to the Cary Mill Pond, which is along Churchill Street. So just to highlight the budget, then, as Sandy had stated, there's no proposed tax levy for the 2015 year. There, under revenues on 2014, there shows a $9,600. We have 2 grants that are outstanding presently with the DNR. One is a aquatic invasive species grant, and it's, as it sounds, it's investigating, surveying the lake and doing treatment methods for aquatic invasive species. As you heard from Carol, this last year, the volunteers, the Friends of Mirror Shadow Lake, and other volunteers and lifeguards in that were active in working on the aquatic invasive species. In the past, we hired a consultant to map the lakes to identify the aquatic invasive species, and there was some treatment to eliminate those in the past. However, this year was not determined needed. So the $9,600 is part of that, which will be reimbursed back to the city as part of the DNR grant. I did meet last week with the grant administrator on this and another grant, and we've got our numbers together, and I'll be submitting that shortly to the DNR. The second grant is what's called a lake management grant. That followed a lake study grant. So initially we did a lake study through the DNR. This grant actually established the Friends of Mirror Shadow Lake Group. That's part of the lake study grant. Once that grant has been completed and the report generated, and that was with involvement with the council and public hearings and that, then the lake management grant was created or was applied for, and the lake management plan is your game plan. It's your roadmap on how to help manage that lake for the long term. That was completed, that lake management plan was completed last fall. We didn't get approval from the DNR until I think November, December last year. So we did submit a grant application into the DNR, however they held that, and we'll be submitting a final grant application. Again, that'll make up that reimbursement. So other than that, you can see the expenses are pretty minimal. The Friends of Mirror Shadow Lake, who Aaron and myself work closely with, really haven't really tackled too many projects that are high cost. There are a number of things that they have been working on that you heard Carol summarize, and will continue to, but nothing that's really of substantial cost. There are some placeholder dollar amounts in here. The contract services relate to, some of that relates to the water testing that you heard is done in the spring and the fall. Maybe aeration maintenance, that type of thing. We do have to put an advertisement in the paper, and supplies can be anything from shoreline planting. You can see some of these other miscellaneous items. Typically, though, it's only spent if needed. So with this proposed budget and with the reimbursements shown, we will still have an estimated balance of $97,3452 for the 2015 budget.
Thanks, John. Any comments on the budget, this resolution, which is the budget from council commissioners?
Make a motion to approve IL 43.
Second. A motion by Hagan, second by Keelan, that we approve of resolution number IL 43. Any further discussion? If not, Sandy will call the roll.
Jillian Peterson.
Aye.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
John Lockwood.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Alan Keeland.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
And Deb Fensky.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Before we adjourn this meeting, Carol, as long as we still have you here, I do want to thank you. I know that you do a lot of this with your volunteer, and I would hope that you would pass this on to the other individuals that help you. I know that John attends a lot of your meetings that you have and is very helpful as a staff person. We have a couple of people that are either members or council or staff individuals that also live on those lakes too, but we do appreciate the hard work that you guys do. Thank you. We'd be looking for a motion to adjourn this meeting then.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Lockwood, second by Hackett, that we adjourn this Inland Lakes Protection and Rehabilitation District meeting until our next scheduled annual meeting, subject to call. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, let's move on then right away into the regular city council meeting. Welcome everybody to our regular scheduled city council meeting. I do call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, We'll ask Sandy to read the open meeting statement for us.
This meeting and all other meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
Thanks, Sandy. And would you take roll also?
Brian Smith,
Here.
Steve Hackett,
Here.
Deb Fensky,
Here.
Paul Hagan,
Here.
Alan Keeland,
Here.
Scott Perchatsky,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
John Lockwood,
Here.
Jillian Peterson, and Eric Olson.
Here.
10 present. We have a quorum.
Okay, next we have the consent agenda. I think there is one handout there, Sandy.
Under number 6, consent agenda, letter D, number 1, minutes of the Park and Recreation Board regular meeting on August 14th, 2014 were distributed.
With that, then, are there any items that council would like to see moved from the consent agenda to the regular agenda? Any items that you'd like to see changed or moved? Need a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Fensky, that we approve the consent agenda with that one addition. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, under the regular agenda, Sandy, you have one item there.
I do. Under number 9, new business letter B, there was more information supporting resolution number 1342 that was distributed.
If we're okay with that one addition and no changes to the rest of the regular agenda, we would need a motion to approve that agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the regular agenda with the handout.
Motion by Lockwood,
Second.
second by Hackett, that we approve the regular agenda with that one additional handout. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Under non-agenda items and announcements, we have a certificate of appreciation from Sue Abrahamson, who has given us 20 years of service in the library. Sue is not here, so we'll make sure that Peg gets that. And we also have a certificate of appreciation to Mike Walkish, who works in the street department, and he has 5 years of service to the city of Waupaca, and he's not here tonight, but John, you want to make sure that he gets that. In your packet, you, on page 235, you have a thank you letter from the Community Blood Center. That's just for informational purposes. You'll also notice that, and Pete's here tonight too, so I'm sure he'll talk a little bit about this, but you'll also notice a thank you letter from Terry Hawkins, who's Cherokees to Oshkosh. This was a letter that he had sent us, and that was for informational purposes only, and I won't touch on it, like I said, just because I'm sure Pete is going to. With that, then, let's move right into the presentation by Pete Anderson. He is our fixed-based operator, and on an annual basis, we do get a operations report about our airport. Pete?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, for having me here this evening. Just want to let you know what's going on out at the airport. It's kind of been exciting. We see the growth out there that we want to see. For the 2 weeks that we had people out, or 2.5 weeks, we had people out for EAA. This year we had 695 passengers come in and out of the terminal that were related to just EAA and the events. I had 1,016 operations. That's aircraft coming in, taking off and landing. We had 23 jets. We had 345 piston airplanes, which is quite a lot of little airplanes coming in and out. out of all those aircraft, 281 of those piston aircraft were transit. So it's people from all over the nation coming into Waupaca this year. We rented approximately 30 rental cars from Enterprise or with Enterprise. And we sold a little over 8,000 gallons of fuel in those couple of weeks. So it's been making a strong impact on the airport. One thing that I want to point out is this year has been probably our best year of keeping those people here. And they're staying in our hotels and eating in our restaurants and going out on our chain of lakes and doing our shopping downtown. So we see that's going in the right direction of the people that have been coming over to the Waupaca Airport during this time of EAA. We were pretty proud this year. We got a little bit of TV coverage. I don't know if anybody caught that, but we were on Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 11, 26, and Wausau 7. Matter of fact, Wausau used the airport for 4 nights in their reports about EAA. One thing that made me extremely proud is when they did the interviews with pilots, and again, these are people that are first time at Waupaca. These are people that's been there 5 times or 5 years at Waupaca. But every single person that they interviewed mentioned how beautiful this city was and how great the people are and how they all feel like they're at home when they come here. And that's something that I take a lot of pride in, but everybody in this whole community should, because it's sincere when they say that. When you read Terry's letter, and I really wish that you would, he makes mention of that he really does. And their group of, that's 60 to 100 people that come in with them every year. And they really do feel like this is now their home away from home. So that's quite a proud thing for all of us. Not only with all the TV coverage we had, we were on WDOX and on the Breakfast Club and did a little talk about the Cherokees Oshkosh leaving en masse. And we had quite a few people from the city come out and watch the mass takeoff on Friday morning. Next year it's going to be a little bit better because they're actually staying an extra day. They've now gone from 4 days. They're actually here for like a full 7, and now they're extending it to 8. And most of the people now, after they fly to Oshkosh, actually pack up the planes and go home. Their time and their vacation was actually spent here in Waupaca with the whole group of people. So that's kind of neat. But we talked on the breakfast show, and a lot of people did come out, which was a great thing there. And again, it was expressed over the radio. Terry expressed how much he just loves this area, and their whole group does. So again, that's a proud moment. The photo group for EAA was out again this year. They've expanded. They used to come out in the afternoon only and shoot for about 3 or 4 hours into the evening. They've gotten to like the facility so much that they bring out almost every photo shoot. So now they come out early in the morning at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, shoot till about 9, and then they come back out again about 3:30, and they'll shoot until dusk. So we had a record number of photo aircraft out there. The photos is the best of the best. It's one of the kinds in the world. And they fly into our airport, and then the photo group from EAA comes over and shoots pictures of them. They use it for all their magazine articles, their calendars, or all their special events. That's where all these photos go to. And it's all been taken at our airport and over our lakes. So it's pretty neat. The aerobatic box this year was not activated during EAA, and that was because it seemed like every single day when the performers could get here to use the box, we either had threatening storm and or low ceilings, so we couldn't get them out here. But EAA wanted to express their thanks for us, again, having that here for them and the opportunity to do so. And we do have anticipation that this will grow also throughout the years that we keep on doing this with them. I'd like to publicly give a shout out and a thank you to Ken Rogers. He's the owner of the Red Door Hangar on the airport property. Ken was and has been a real good friend of the airport. This year I had probably in excess of $7 million worth of airplanes, those special airplanes sitting out there. When that big storm came through, it had hail and everything in it. And within a matter of minutes, I made one phone call, and Ken opened up not only his Red Door hangar facility, but his other private facility, and got these airplanes under wraps in a matter of minutes. And without people like that at the airport, we just wouldn't be able to do what we do. And we protected these people, and they're very, very thankful for it, and that shows a good thing for us. When we were on WDUX, we were heard by the administrator of the vets home. And when she called up, she said, you know, we got a lot of vets out here that were pilots, and if it would be possible when the Cherokees leave on Friday, would there be any possibility of them flying over the vet home and do a kind of flyby for them? And I explained to her that with the rules under that type of situation, and because of the wind situation, I couldn't assure her that they would be able to fly over. If they had to use the opposite runway flying away from the vet's home, they have to maintain a special line, a straight line from here to Oshkosh, and they can't really deviate too much from that. But I did say, could you just hold on for a minute, I'll call you back in about 15 minutes. And within an hour, just again to show you this group, how great they are, I went up and talked to a few of the leaders of the Cherokees Oshkosh, and within not even an hour, 30 aircraft were over the veterans home doing a formation flyby for all the vets, which is really great. And this is their time, gas is out of their pocket. It takes some skill and some things but they pulled it together and they did it. And she called back probably immediately after the flyby thanking us, and she had also sent out a very nice letter thanking us again for doing that. So that's another thing pretty close to my heart is the veterans and such, and to do that made me pretty proud. In September, we're going to be having our 4th annual Northwoods Air Race again. This year we're expecting to have about 20 aircraft, hopefully more, but it looks like about 20 for right now. And they'll come in on Friday, and we'll have a guest speaker, and on Saturday morning we'll have the race, and of course the public's invited to come out and watch it. We usually send the fastest plane off first as a cross-country race, so it's not at the airport around pylons. They go from point A to point B, point C, point D, and back home. And by the time we release the first airplanes that are the fastest, and by the time we get to the last airplane that's in the slowest class, the first ones are coming back already. So it's some pretty fast moving airplanes out there, and these guys take it really serious, and they come from California and all over the United States when they come up to do this. So this would be our 4th annual, and I'm happy to say that we're growing with that program now too. The last thing that I have is I just had the Bureau of Aeronautics out, and we are looking at some projects that are going to have to be done at the airport. Our ramp, or if we will, the parking area for the airplanes, it's in rapid decay. About 3 years ago, I had the state report come back, and they assumed that we'd have 15 to 20 years yet on it, and it went so fast, it just went beyond. It kind of flipped, and it's now at the point of needing repair. That repair will be done with our entitlement funds, and things are banked in there yet that we should be able to pull this off without having any draw on the city whatsoever. And it was kind of nice because Mike and I had Mike Gabor rather from the Bureau, and I were talking, and I asked him about our T hangars. The city owns 3 hangars that are tied together, referred to as a T hangar building. And I said, our doors are starting to come apart, and they're made of wood with tin on them, and you know they've been up for 25 years, I imagine, if at least that. And I said, we're kind of an array of needing at least new doors out there, and lo and behold, it looks like we're going to get some money to take care of all them too. So that's probably going to be a couple years out, but we're in the process. Mike and I are in the process now of just getting the preliminary stuff together. Naturally, before anything's done, I will come back to you guys and let you know what we're planning and the costs and everything of it. But we're moving forward with that, and again, it should be completely out of entitlement funds. So again, thanks for having me here tonight, and that's all I have unless you have any questions for me.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions of Pete? Excellent.
Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, let's move on to the public input section of our meeting. This is for any individual that would like to speak to us on non-agenda items, something that's not on our agenda tonight. If they would, please step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record. Anybody that would like to speak to us on a non-agenda item? All right, let's move on to department announcements and reports, and we'll start with Jean.
Thank you, Mayor. As you can see from our packet that, that all the budgets are on track. And the only good thing to report is that we'll have our tax settlement from the county tomorrow of about $2 million.
Probably will help a little bit, huh? Yeah. Awesome.
You're not going on vacation soon, are you?
Steve, you can't say that. All right. Anything else? Anybody? Any questions of Jean? Thank you. Let's go to the library then. Peg.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. Well, for the next 2 days and this evening yet, we have a book fair, a scholastic book fair for kids and families, and we've given away certificates for those kids who've gone the extra mile and done some extra reading this summer, and they actually get a certificate for a free book. Our first Mockingbird event is a film in the park at South Park this Friday, and we'll be starting the film at dusk, and there'll be snacks that you can purchase through the Friends of the Library, and I hope you'll all join us for that very special event in the parks. Our first Thursday film series starts in September. On the 4th, we're going to be watching an Alfred Hitchcock film, and that's at 1:30. And Dr. Rhodes will then again be giving the commentary for that. Our first Lunch and Learn in September is a photo tour of Chile and Patagonia, and that's available for anybody. We have a light lunch served by an area restaurant. Right now we have our exhibit, No Canvas Required, and you can go and see that. It's interesting to see how people take ordinary things and create art for them. So we're on task to be within budget for the year, and we've had some good news from the county. It looks like that our reimbursements from both Waupaca and Waupaca counties will be going up in 2015.
Thanks, Peg. Brennan.
Thanks, Mayor, members of council. With the passage of the strategic plan at the last city council meeting, staff starting to move forward with some of those initiatives. Hopefully some of those the smaller ticket items will be, the council will start seeing within the next couple of months here with some more updated on the city website and within your packets. Looking to have some form of I guess educational training with the council later this year yet regarding the possibility of moving forward with a new CDA, that organization that will assist in some of the economic development initiatives. Some more information will be coming with to the council later this year. On September 15th, we are going to have a downtown business forum located at the Farmers State Bank at 6 p.m. This was driven partially from the strategic plan, but also from some concerned business owners along Main Street. We're starting to see a little bit more of open storefronts right now. A couple businesses are moving out or are closed. So we're looking to bring all the business owners along with all the property owners together to kind of have an open discussion forum amongst the group about opportunities, activities, how we could start addressing this, where the city's involvement is, where there might be a small business council that could work in the efforts to attract other development downtown. Going to be bringing in Alita Burr from WEDC to facilitate that meeting. Agenda has not been set yet for that meeting, but we are sending out by the end of this week kind of save the date postcards to all the property owners and all the business owners along Main Street just to get that on their calendar. But looking forward to that. I mean, Main Street is one of our main economic engines for the community. It's a tourism attraction, so we definitely want to make sure that it continues to be a vibrant area for everybody to come. With that, staff is also starting to create a separate webpage, which will be more of a Main Street webpage for the community. It's going to be a dual purpose. It's going to be, one is going to house all the information from all the Downtown Visioning Committee meetings that we've had to date. It'll have an open blog on there as well. The ability to post some questions out there that the public will be able to answer and provide their own input on. It's one of the ways that you see that within our lobby right now. We do have some boards out there that kind of shows the progress to date for that visioning committee. So that's going to house that information, but it's also going to be kind of a general Main Street webpage as well. That's going to have information about all the different businesses that are located in there, have different resources for businesses as well, not only for people wanting to come here, but also the business owners themselves. So that page will be worked on within the next couple of months, and we'll be progressing slowly to put that out there. Working with Josh and the chamber on kind of a pilot project, pilot program per se. We were approached by the chamber about having some video shot of businesses within our community, kind of have a minute to a minute and a half videos produced on, you know, why they came to Waupaca, you know, what they enjoy here, what type of service they provide. You know, it's not an advertisement. It's not what Dave's doing for the tourism project. When you actually purchase some video, that a lot of that advertising is actually going out into, you know, the Milwaukee and Chicago markets. This is going to be more of a personal touch type of video that's going to be posted not only for Win TV, but it's also as part of the Main Street webpage. It'll be posted on there as well. Just kind of, again, introduce the public and the community to these different businesses that are located in downtown. So we're going to try a pilot video, see how that goes, see what time it actually takes to actually produce the video. I'm working with Josh and Win TV, and we'll see what the results are from that. Plan Commission wise, right now we're working on the zoning code. Next month we'll kind of have a timeline and an agenda set for 2015 on the activities that'll be worked on there. The Plan Commission did approve renovations for the Dairy Queen. That work will be started in September with some new signage and some new exterior elevations with paint and some cosmetic architectural treatments as well to the building. We're also working on a project right now with our oversized garages. We've had a couple have come through that are special use permits, but we're looking at how we can tighten that up a little bit more, but also provide some more flexibility to owners within the community. The next Main Street or Downtown Vision Committee meeting is set for August 25th at the Holly Center, beginning at 5:30. That meeting will kind of do a historical introduction produced by done by Scott Christie. Also have some work activities there. And then the committee is going to take a little hiatus for about a month and a half as we start preparing some of these conceptual plans that we're looking to present to the committee in October of different areas that are deemed, you know, important gathering spaces that we want to take a little closer look at. But that project's still looking to wrap up, I would say, hopefully by the end of this year, but probably maybe January, February of 2015. And then we'll move into the next phase of that, which will hopefully be conceptual plans with a consultant next year. That's all I have.
Thanks, Brennan. Let's move on to John then, Director of Public Works.
Okay, I've got my report in your packet. I won't go through all the items on here, but just an update from the storm the other day. We had reported anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of rainfall. I guess it was somewhat spread out in certain areas, but I don't know if many of you were out during the storm. Maybe you might have watched the news. There's videos on Facebook. It's pretty substantial. I haven't witnessed that type of a storm here in the city of Waupaca. I've seen that storm, you know, in my career, but I don't know if what we can classify that as, but it was substantial. With that, we did have a lightning strike about a few blocks from the wastewater treatment plant, which caused a phase to be dropped and caused some problems at the plant. Bauer Electric was summoned, and we contacted Wisconsin Public Service. They were very responsive, and within a couple hours, they were out there and corrected the phase problems that we had, and we got our blowers back going in the plant. So our backup generator kicked on. However, that only runs a portion of the treatment plant. So we did not exceed compliance with our permit, which is really good news. We have several locations in town where we've had some substantial erosion areas on private property from stormwater coming off of the city right-of-ways. So those are projects that we'll be working on here shortly to address those. We just looked at them today. There was a property on Union Street where there was some residential flooding in a low area, and I've talked to that property owner. Beyond that, if you've been out in West Fulton, there was quite a bit of the joint material that came up from the stormwater, flow of the stormwater. We did patch that, and again, hopefully we'll be rehabbing that road next summer. So that kind of sums it up. Our crews were out. Fortunately, it was, afternoon, early evening storms versus middle of the night. So, but it was pretty substantial. I can say that. As of 8/1/14, 58% of the budget. Our street division is at 51%. Water and sewer divisions are both at 46%. And our snow and ice control budget is at 92%.
Thanks, John. Yep. Aaron?
Thank you, Mayor. My report is also in your packet. I will refer to a couple other things. Last week we did have our park board retreat to complete or start to wrap up our strategic plan. Basically what the park board did was create broad goals out of all the feedback we got from the 28 groups that we met with. Today we had our staff retreat to go over more specific objectives, and we'll be writing that plan over the next month here. I plan on bringing that to council the second council meeting in September. It's been an exciting process. I'm excited to have that tool to give our department some direction here. It'll be very nice. Do want to give an update on Fallarama. I want to thank John. I want to thank Dr. Gene Rice. I also want to thank the rest of the Friends of the Parks group that have helped, and all the sponsors that have helped. We've raised $5,375 to help sponsor that event, and that will be September 20th. I think it'll be a great event. We want to build on it from last year. So that's probably the biggest Friends of the Park fundraiser throughout the year. South Park, we wrapped up a couple projects. Curbing got poured a couple weeks ago or actually last week around the playground as well as around the flagpoles. The sledding hill, we are in the process of receiving quotes from a number of different asphalt and roadwork companies that will give us direction on what extra we can do in that project. And we will hope to receive that by late next week. Playgrounds, I did want to give you an update. Our playgrounds at Pullman Park and Riverside Park were not in compliance for the past quite a bit of years, and that's because they had a sand base. That is not in compliance with NRPA standards, National Recreation and Park Standards. We did remove that sand base and get wood chips in there, so that is now in compliance. That's I think Josh's training as a playground safety certified inspector really helped with some of these things that we've taken care of this year. So we're happy to get that done. We did have our pre-bid meeting last week, and we had our bids come in for our roof yesterday on Monday. And we do have 3 bids in, and I can tell you that we were toying with the idea of bringing that here tonight. I did want to give you guys a little more time to look at that. I didn't want to rush it and give you guys the weekend. It will not put back our timeline at all, approving that in the first meeting in September. So I'll write a memo. You guys will see that information. I will tell you that the numbers came in. I'm happy with the numbers that we received. So I'll get that in the next packet, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me on that. Our outdoor movie, let's see, that would be a couple Fridays ago now. We had over 200 people. We played the Lego movie at South Park. I thought it was a great success. Andrew did a great job of promoting it. It was one of those events that you're there and you're in the park and it's at night and there's families and seniors and kids that are 2 years old and all ages, and it's just one of those reasons I think that people move into communities like this, and I thought it was just a great event, and we look to do more family events like that moving forward, and that's one of the things that have come out of the strategic plan, and we're excited to work on those things. We do have an Oz Park meet and greet, kind of just to give some education to everyone on the Oz Park project. That is tomorrow from 1 until 3. We're working with Cliff Morton at Fresh Start Oz Cap Services, and one of the main things is it's going to give the opportunity for everyone that got invited to meet some of the kids that are going to be working on this, and some of the individuals, and I shouldn't say kids, young men and women that'll be working on some of the projects out there, which I think will be a very neat aspect. Let's see, we are working on a mural in the rec center. If you've been in there recently, right when you walk into the right, we have a young lady named Amanda Durfee that's working on that. She's doing a great job. It was kind of a product of talking and working with the mental health department of the county and making buildings more inviting. Senior Center rummage sale was last week, Thursday and Friday. Made over $2,500 as a fundraiser for them, so that was great. And then another thing I did want to touch base on is we did approve through Park Board spending $8,000 out of a kind of a donation fund, a Swan Park maintenance fund. There are fees that go into that every year from the boys baseball, girls softball, and the Foundry for using it for their picnic. $2,000 for both the youth associations and $1,500 for the men's, or for the Waupaca Foundry that get put into that every year. Our current balance on that is over $10,000, and we are still owed this year, expecting about $3,000 to come in from that. So that money will be spent on bringing infield levels back up. We had a couple issues with drainage as far as some rainstorms go, and games that we felt should not be canceled were canceled. And some of that was a byproduct of the South Park project going on, resources being kind of spread throughout the city. But we want to make sure that we keep those facilities. You know, there's 130 games on each of those fields each year. That's not counting things like the Foundry Picnic. That's not counting general park traffic and other events out there. So we have to make sure that we keep those to a level of maintenance that allows for us to use them as much as they should be used. And that is all I had for my report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Aaron, how did the roof hold up with the storm yesterday at the...
We had leaks in a couple spots. When you walk into the Augie Austin gym from the main doors, a lot of it is along that seam on the left-hand side going towards the stage. So we had leaks over the 2 bleacher areas.
Cause additional damage to what was already done, where we're looking at maybe possible different numbers for that floor now, or?
No, everything is looking the same. So,
Thank you.
yep, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Okay, let's move on to Chief Goke.
Thanks, Mayor. Just to dovetail a little bit on John's report of the weather from yesterday, we kind of got inundated with calls also during the storm, all weather-related, basically flooded streets, intersections. We had a number of stalled vehicles. We actually had the county come in and assist because vehicles going through 3 feet of water. This is Highway 10 at Fulton Street, or I'm sorry, Highway 10 in Fulton by the bridge, underneath the bridge. And basically, you know, our advice to all drivers, if you can't see the road, don't drive through it, because you don't know what's underneath there. One driver found out the hard way when they hit a manhole cover that was separated because of the storm, and their car hit the manhole, and that was off of Churchill Street. So whether it's 1 feet, 4 feet, or 5 feet, if you can't see the road, don't drive through it, go around. When the vehicles are stalling, that does interfere with emergency operations too. We didn't have any emergency calls during that time, but the majority of our calls were street related. We had a couple of driveways that were flooded on Fulton Street. Other than that, budget-wise, as John said, 58% of the year, we're at 56.25. You'll see in my monthly report that I've added 3 new reports, and the purpose is to add a little bit more dimension and depth to the generalized numbers to actually describe the type of calls we're responding to and the nature of the arrest, and also a law enforcement or law incident analysis table, which is in that report. We also discuss more about the 2015 budget, and that'll be coming out as we continue on with the budget process. Other than that, the rest is informational.
Thanks. Chief. All right, Henry.
Just very quickly, just a reminder that next council meeting, prior to the meeting, we're going to have a 45-minute elected official liability training. So that will occur at 5:15, and that's Tuesday, September 2nd. The triathlon, we pulled off our 14th annual triathlon. I want to thank all the departments for all their help. Got a lot of nice compliments. Aaron, please let Josh know that our board was very appreciative. He was in there, he directed his workers, it was very efficient, so all went well. I know he's not that modest, but Alderman Lockwood, I think, took second in his age group. So that was good.
There was only 2 of us.
No, there was 3 guys, at least 3 guys.
Well, at least there was 2.
Just to piggyback on to Pete's report, we have a great asset in the airport, and Pete does an awesome job. We're going to hold our County Economic Development Corporation meeting next Wednesday at the airport. I think what we want to try to do is show that that's important to our economic vitality of our community. And I think erroneously, a lot of people just think that airport serves Waupaca, but I think Pete can tell you a lot of people are served in other parts of the county by the use of that airport and the availability of it. So I think it's an important asset, and I just thought, it'd be great to, and I suggested we meet out there, and so we're going to meet, and I'm going to highlight the airport. And then finally, you may have saw a bunch of visitors. Our Sister City group was in town this past week, and we hosted them here at City Hall, the mayor and I. Paul was involved as well. Had a nice event Sunday at the Grand Seasons, and they're already planning the next year's trip, so that was it. Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Let's move on to new business. We have a request from Leah Zemer for the Journey Shelters annual 5K run. This does show up on your in your packet on page 237, 238, 239, and Leah is here tonight. Leah, go ahead.
Hello, and thank you for having me. My son, John. He's typically with me because my husband works nights. We are doing our 3rd annual 5K. It's a trail run. It goes the same route as it has for the last 2 years, through kind of the Swan Park division and then up on a trail. We haven't changed the route. That's all the same. Everything else is the same except the date. We did change the date. We switched our golf outing with our 5K after our 5K promoter moved to California for a job. So and we're going to do like a costume run November 1st. I think you guys all got the information, probably from Sandy. Still will have the reserve deputies at our disposal. Aaron and I talked about having a possible rent a porta potty if needed, in case it's too cold and the pipes are shut down, and that we won't have a problem doing that. Already made contact, and they're gonna, if we need it, it's there. So, yeah, so it's the same run, and we'll have the deputies, and Brad Hardell has already said he'll donate them for us, and we have our group of volunteers.
Leah, just since you have the opportunity to do this, so where can they go to get this information from?
www.journeyshelter.com, or I'm sorry, .org.
Okay. Awesome. And you can see on page 238, the map, you can see that about half of it is in Swan Park and the rest is up in that upper subdivision up there. This is your 3rd event, and so you're doing it basically the same, just a different date. Anybody have any questions? We would need approval.
I make a motion we approve Journey Shelter 5K run.
Second.
Motion by Hackett, Lockwood, second by Hackett, that we approve of the Journeys Shelter annual 5K run on November 1st, 2014. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right,
Good luck.
yeah,
Thanks.
good luck. Next, we have resolution number 1342. And Henry, you want to just explain what this is all about, please?
I can take it.
Or
Yeah.
John, I'm sorry.
This is a resolution that will be on the ballot on November 4th, and I'll explain in a second here, but the reason it's coming forth to you, I'm asking for, and I think the city council should take action on this resolution in support of this, and then it's really our duty to get the word out to the citizens that'll be voting on this. This is a constitutional amendment to the state constitution, and it's based on our gas tax and our vehicle registration fee. Over 90% of our state funding for transportation comes from those two main sources, so gas tax and vehicle registration fee. That account has been rated in the past, up to $1 billion has been removed from the transportation fund for other purposes. And I'm not saying that those purposes aren't valid in our state government, but, you know, I feel, and I think you'll see a number of other groups feel, that this is something that, if amended in our Constitution, will secure these monies for transportation. For a constitutional amendment to actually go on the ballot, there needs to be the state legislation must pass a joint resolution, and in 2 consecutive legislative sessions pass that ballot. So this is really a bipartisan process that we're in right now, because both arms of the government, of the legislation, have put a joint resolution together, brought it to 2 consecutive sessions, and brought it forth in positive votes. In fact, they were anywhere between 70 and 85% approval rating of those actions by the state legislature. So with that action now, it will be on the November 4th ballot. And in fact, states like Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, Ohio in our area have done the same thing that we have. It's also interesting to know that in 2010, 54 of the 72 counties in the state of Wisconsin put this on a ballot, and on their ballot, and it was overwhelmingly approved, passed by an average of 70% approval rating. The resolution here I took off of a draft resolution that others are bringing forth to their government bodies, whether it's local, state, county, whatever it might be. And again, the whole idea is to get this promoted, to get the word out. It will be on the ballot. It'll either be voted up or voted down by our state citizenry. So I'm just trying to get the word out that I think it's of value that we do protect that. We do weigh heavily on our transportation funds that we receive from the state. It funds, well, Henry can tell you, probably the majority of our street department, to be honest with you. And we desire to see that continue and possibly increase over time.
Okay, and as John said, that he's asking us to approve resolution number 1342, which is basically asking people to vote yes on the ballot in November for this change.
I'll move the council supports resolution number 1342.
Second.
Motion by Peterson and second by Olson that we approve of resolution number 1342, 2014. Any discussion? If not, Sandy will call the roll.
Jillian Peterson. Aye. John Lockwood.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Alan Keeland.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Deb Fensky.
Aye.
And Eric Olson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Okay, next we have a license report number 1243. This is a Class B fermented malt beverage license, and this is just a change of an agent for, it's called PH Hospitality Group, but it's the Pizza Hut building. So they are just asking for a name for the agent to be changed on that property, for that license.
I'll make a motion, we approve license report number 1243.
Second.
Motion by Lockwood, second by Keelan, that we approve of license report number 1243. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Next, then, we have a request from the Waupaca Ale House on behalf of the Waupaca Rotary Club to extend the Ale House's premises to hold their annual Oktoberfest event on August 29th, 2014. As you can see on pages 245 through 247, there's the request, and then on the next page, there's the actual drawing of where the tent, what the tent will look like, and then the third one picture actually shows where the tent will be on the premises. Henry, I know you belong to Rotary. Anything that you want to add to that?
I think Steve Hoot is here representing
Oh,
the group.
Steve, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hi, Mayor. Steve Huda with the Waupaca Rotary Club. We've got 2 other members here, so that's good. Thank you. Any questions, or you want me to go through it, Mayor, what we're doing?
Sure,
or
absolutely,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Yeah, it's a little advertisement too for us, I guess.
Sure.
This might be the, I don't know, the 5th year or so that we've done this. It's our 2nd largest fundraiser for Rotary Club. What we have is we put up a tent, as you saw in your package, at the Ale House. We have 2 bands, and it goes from 5 to midnight, and it's pretty calm event, really. We haven't had any problems in the past. Everything's gone fine. It's $10 to get in. We have small samples of beer, and then beer for sale after that. And mostly it's craft beers, micro beers, so it's not like a beer fest. It's more of an Oktoberfest. So that's the event in a nutshell. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions of Steve?
Of course, we'd like to see you all there, and tickets are available at the door. It's Friday night at the start of Labor Day weekend, which what is the 29th, I believe, yes, August 29th, 5 to midnight.
Awesome. We'd be looking for a motion then to approve.
I move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Prochatsky, that we approve of this request from the Waupaca Ale House for the Waupaca Rotary Club to hold their annual Oktoberfest event on August 29th, 2014. Any discussion?
I would just like to ask Chief if he's looked it over and agrees.
I don't have any comment on
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Thanks, Steve. Good luck. Next, we have mayor's appointments to the library board, and I'm going to turn this over to Council President Paul Mayo.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor appoints the following people to the library board: Holly Olson and Dakota Marlega, Youth Alternative. Having heard the mayor's appointments, I would need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Keelan, second by Lockwood, that council approves the appointments of Holly Olson and Dakota Marlega to the library board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Paul. Let's move on to license report number 1244. This is the operator's or bartender's license. There are 3 individuals. Again, you can see that's in your packet on page 248. If there aren't any issues, then we would need a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve license report number 1244 pending background check and chief's approval.
Second.
Motion by Lockwood, second by Hackett, that we approve of license report number 1244. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Communications, recommendations of the mayor. Just real quick, the finance director's or treasurer's position. We are in the process of interviewing people. We actually have finished the first interview process, and next Tuesday we will be looking at interviewing, if I remember right, 2 individuals that, and out of that, then, of course, we will be making a recommendation to council. Not sure if it will be as early as the first meeting in September or if it will be the second meeting in September before we bring that forward. But we do have some good applicants, and hopefully we can come to an agreement with one of them. And then one other thing under communications of the mayor. I'd like to congratulate, not quite, but I'd like to congratulate Steve and Judy Hackett. On August 22nd, it will be their 50th wedding anniversary.
Thank you. That's,
Yeah. Luckily Judy's not here to respond to that.
Should we have a rebuttal?
We need a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second?
Motion by Hagan, second by Lockwood, that we adjourn to our regular scheduled meeting, which is Tuesday, September 2nd, 2014, subject to call. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. We are adjourned at 6:57 p.m. Thanks, everybody, for watching, attending.